The courage needed to step up to the task being given to them begins to well up inside, empowering them to move forward, doing what needs to be done. Courage is sustained and grows as they gain strength from one another, as they surround themselves with the support of the larger community, and as they immerse themselves in the pain of their people. As this powerful grassroots challenge begins, Esther and Mordecai lean on the integrity instilled deep within themselves over the course of their entire lives, letting this integrity ground them and hold them and guide them without wavering into what they must do. Both Esther and Mordecai are politically savvy, developing deep and broad awareness of the situation, carefully assessing the realistic possibilities for action, entering into the political milieu in full awareness of the risks, with a potentially effective plan, and willing to give it their best shot. It's always exciting to see someone catch a vision and take that vision all the way through to becoming reality. It's always exciting to see a church catch a vision, make a plan, and move from vision to reality and begin to set things in motion, making a transformative difference in the lives of people in the larger community, and reviving God's transforming love within the community of faith itself. At the session meeting on November 3rd, session approved the formation of a family and children outreach task force to develop a cohesive, consistent outreach to bring children and their families into our 4th Street programs, even as we continue developing these programs to meet the needs of those who may come to us. Their work has begun already with the goal of bringing the church-wide plan to the session in April 2011. Some of you may recall a story I told a few weeks ago of William Willimon's discovery in a church where he went to preach. The church was filled with children, only a handful of whom were related to anyone in the congregation. And when Willimon responded and asked the pastor, "Whose children are they?" the pastor replied, "They belong to Jesus. He's loaning them to us to help us turn this thing around." Perhaps through this initiative just passed by session to reach out to children and families, discovering who and where they are and working to meet their needs, God may bring to us at 4th Street some of these children and their families to strengthen and grow 4th Street. If you are asked to give of yourself and your resources to this initiative for children and families, I hope you'll respond. Many more initiatives and visions will be forming at 4th Street. More initiatives will be coming forth. Don't miss being a part of this transforming adventure. We need to be as courageous and as filled with integrity as were Esther and Mordecai. We also need to be as politically savvy as both of these characters. Christians sometimes want to stay out of the political fray of society, avoiding the political messiness, thinking that politics somehow undermines the gospel. Some of us may want to avoid the complex and hard work of transforming Detroit. The truth is, being politically savvy is often essential to taking the true meaning of the gospel to the streets in a way that makes any real difference. The church is part of society. The church can be a very important part of society. And society is replete with politics and will always be so as long as there are people. So we really have two basic alternatives. Do the best we can to avoid society and culture, which is pretty much impossible, and stay outside of all things political, thereby letting others decide the future, or engage in the political milieu in which we find ourselves, bringing with us the Christian values and ways of being in the world, which reflect God's transforming power and love. I believe 4th Street is called to be God's transforming power and love in Detroit, continuing to be a spiritual beacon in the city, but perhaps with the beacon taking on dimensions we did not expect. We will have to be politically savvy if we are to be effective and have any real impact. And to make a real difference, we also have to live courageously, filled with the integrity instilled within us as we follow the living Christ, integrity challenged, shaped, and refined as we live together in Christian community. Who knows? Maybe you have come to Ford Street, or maybe you are at Ford Street after a long time for just such a time as this. Who knows? Maybe Ford Street is right here at Ford and 3rd, still in the city for just such a time as this. Who knows? Maybe our time and talents and gifts, maybe our financial resources on this Pledge Commitment Sunday have been given to us for just such a time as this in Detroit. Will you pray with me? God, grant us courage, grant us wisdom, grant us your peace, that we may move powerfully in Detroit in ways both politically savvy and guided by a depth of integrity to bring transformation and wholeness in a city crying out. Amen.